All right, y'all. Well, this is Saturday morning, April 24th, and thank you so much for joining us for our Focus Forward training session this morning. We are ready to have an awesome time. I want to thank everybody for participating. And as you know, we're in a series where we're just learning how to, learning how to do presentations and that kind of thing. And so we are actually, the end of the session is May 1st. So next week on this series, we'll kind of finalize our series and you will kind of get to see everybody's homework. However, we just did our comments from last week where we did our demonstrative speeches and we did such a great time. Today, we're going to talk about a pregnant pause. And a pregnant pause, is something that allows you to you can use it as a tool in your presentations and in our speeches to get attention. Sometimes if you ever notice, if a video is running and it stops and you're doing something else, you automatically look up to see what's going on. Or if something happens and the TV's on and all of a sudden it stops, it gets your attention. Well, you can do that in your presentation to get people's attention. Because if you're doing stuff and all of a sudden you stop, people are automatically going to wonder, okay, what happened? What's up? Teachers use it all the time. They'll start teaching and maybe that child or the two children are talking in the background and then she'll just stop and look at them. And pretty soon everybody will be looking at those two. And so teachers use that effectively. We can use it too. It's called a pregnant pause. Now, pregnant pause also talks about what you might have you may do a pregnant pause when you might want to drop some information, or you may want to, I tell you, Janice Parker uses pregnant pauses very, very effectively because she'll say, grandmama said, you never miss your water until, and then that pause, it gives the audience an opportunity to say the well runs dry. Or grandmama says, she does those grandmama says. Grandmama says that fix the roof and then she pauses and the audience says before it starts to rain. And so she uses those pregnant pauses that way. I've even heard people say, and it might have been Janice, I'm not sure, but I remember somebody saying, you might be able to help me with this, but they said, y'all remember, you said there are things in your memory that you don't even realize, and there's useless information in your memory. For instance, finish this for me. 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions, and then pause. And the rest of the audience says, pickles, onions, on a sesame seed bun.
Sesame seed bun.
I knew you knew it. So that's another.
Chris Coakley uses the pause technique a lot.
Chris Coakley does too. He when he's especially telling stories about his childhood and some of his stories. Go ahead.
I was just saying that Chris Coakley was the one that you were thinking of.
Okay, yeah. So pregnant pauses can be very, very effective. And now that you know what they are, I guarantee you that you're going to start noticing them more and using them more. We can use, and if you were on the Weekend Warrior call yesterday, you know that Nick Pagano, thank you, invited us to hear the new presentation today on his call. And so in doing that, we know that our company CEO, Scott Tomer, is going to be doing the presentation. I've heard so we can listen to that presentation and we can imagine what we might say or do or mirror some of the things see what he does, what you feel like he does well. Because with each presentation, you might vary it for different audiences. for instance, now that you have your stories, if you were going to a women's religious group, you may tell a different story as opposed to talking to, a dancing group, or, a group that loves to party and travel. So your stories are going to vary, but also your pregnant pauses may vary. You might, on the screen, you might say, oh, well, we can all, we all love to, we could all, generate extra income, right? If of all the things, you could say, what's that saying? What they say is, what's that thing saying? Money is not the money. What the saying is money is the what? And they say root of all evil. And then you can say, well, not really. The rest of that quote is, money is not the root of all. Money is the root of all evil for those who, what's that quote? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used that one because I don't know it well.
Money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, money is the root of all evil, but they had another one. Anyway, I used the wrong one. But at any rate, you can use that, you can use those, a saying like that as a part of your presentation. You wouldn't want to use that when you're about to talk about the compensation plan, but you might want to say, a lot of people may think that, I can't remember. Nothing comes to mind right now. I have to give you some. But as you're developing your presentation, there are a whole lot of things that you could kind of say to make people just stop and bring people back into your presentation. And that's how it's used, because it makes people stop. When you stop, it makes people pay attention, and now it's a way to bring them back into your presentation. Have you ever been in a presentation or maybe at a party or a speech where the person just kind of keeps going, and you don't, pretty soon you fade out. You start thinking about other things. Has that ever happened? I know that's happened to me. Okay. Well, so those are some techniques that you can use to kind of break it up, so that you're not just talking. You can, you're breaking up that presentation. So,
and listen at this and see, is this harsh? Do you think this would be harsh at the closing? Talk is cheap, but it takes money to buy it.
I think it would depend on your audience. I think some people would find that funny. I wouldn't say it like you just said it, but you might want to soften it just a tad. but I could see. I think that it depending on the audience and the delivery, it definitely it could work. It could work. It could work depending on the audience and the delivery. Definitely. But I would work on that. So the other thing is that along with pregnant pause is your rhythm. We have the capacity to speed up, slow down, pause, and Michelle in her demonstrative speech actually did that a little, and that's started kind of her speech kind of started having a flow, started having a rhythm as you started listening to her. And even though it wasn't a rap, it kind of began to feel like one. And so you started kind of moving with her rhythm. And so you kind of want to capture people with your rhythm. What is your rhythm? What is it that and sometimes, as you noticed the other day, I kind of had drums playing in the background. And that was to kind of keep me, the number one, it was kind of a relaxing beat, and it kind of keeps you on rhythm. So you could use that as well. What another thing that's good to do is that, you know, especially in a presentation, as you're telling your story, you're going to have high points and you're going to have low points. So just like stopping and not saying anything captures someone's attention, if you really want to capture someone's attention, whisper. Just bring it down and say, "Oh, I got to tell you a secret." And you know, it's not a real whisper, because you still want to be able to enunciate, and you want to be able to project your voice, just like we were talking about in body language. But, you know, just your saying, "Oh, I need to tell y'all something. Flights are cheaper on Tuesday after 9. You know, like you really giving them some great information. And sometimes out of everything you said, that might be the only thing they heard. So if that's that effective, what if you were to put the key point of your speech as a whisper? Because now people will get the point. You know, like, hey, right, let me tell you something, give you a little secret. If you get started now, you actually get 2 months free. They walk away with that, "Oh, well, you know, nothing else. If you get started now, you get 2 months free." I guarantee you that's what's going to be repeated. Or, hey, let me tell you something. Other services are you know, you pay more when you go to other online services for travel. If nothing else, that's what they're going to remember. So that's an effective, an effective use. Can you see how just having a pregnant pause, and also, sometimes a pregnant pause isn't where they actually finish the sentence. Sometimes a pregnant pause might be, "Wait for it. Surge 365 is the best." You know, that might be your pregnant pause. Or, "Hey, everybody, wait for it. We're going to Jamaica next week." You know, it might be that. Now people, when you do this and they wait for it, "I just got $1,000 bonus." You know, so using that pregnant pause can be very effective as well when you put it strategically in your presentation. Does that make sense?
Good.
Cool. So that's a part of your rhythm. That's a part of your rhythm. That's a part of what you're doing. The speaking fast, as we know, you know, you might come in there running. Hey, everybody. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? It's time to get started. Oh my goodness. Let's go. And so now they're like, "Oh, okay. You get them all riled up. And then it's like, "Hey, you are absolutely in the right place at the right time, because we got somebody that's after going to blow your socks off. This is amazing. Are you ready to travel? Are you ready to have fun? Are you ready to absolutely see the world and get paid? Well, let me tell you, this lady is about to blow it away. Get ready. Do you have your pen? Do you have your paper? Do you see how just my picking up my speed and talking a little louder, did it get your attention?" Okay, so think about this. So in starting a meeting now or your travel party, you want to get people's attention, right? So that might be something that you use. Or that's why we say, instead of using jazz music, use upbeat music, because that's what's going to get people's attention, and you want people to begin. That's going to set the rhythm and the pace of your travel party. And so people will be thinking upbeat. They come in and they start, you playing something and they start dancing. They got the vibe and stuff. They ready. Okay, cool. All right, this is nice. And you passing out some punch, so they bopping around and they bopping in your chair. Say, that's a good signal. If your guests are moving to the music and drinking their little punch, then that's a good vibe. If you pay a Najee and your guest leaning back with the cup, just chilling, you've already started your travel party on a low energy note, and now you got to try to bring it up. But if you start it on a high energy note and keep it there, that help let the music and the props help you keep that energy up. That's why they put, what's that song, Nick, that song that they play at sports things when you coming in and going into the arena, dun, 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 they have the lights going and everything, and everybody's yay, yeah. You know, should you roll out before the game start? Because you'd have been, okay, woo, I'm partying. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, the DJ is off the chain. Yay, yay. And so now that should be a part of your rhythm. And so now when that music stops, you got everybody's attention. They're like, oh, okay, what's happening now? Okay. And so now you keep that rhythm going by, oh my gosh, thank y'all so much for being here. This is awesome. So what's going to be your rhythm? What's going to be your flow? You set the flow. But in terms of your rhythm, you also want to be able to kind of control, you will control the rhythm, you will control the flow based on what you're talking about and based on what you're doing. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right. Well, so the homework for this week, is, here we go. This time, here we go. Do a presentation, high energy, of you actually opening up your travel party or a meeting using, and it can be as long as you want, using all the things that you've learned, using your story, introduce who you are, and tell your story, or tell one of your stories, using pregnant pause, using your rhythm, using music to set the tone, and I want you to introduce, you don't have to introduce the speaker, whoever the speaker is, but you're the first one on. And so you set the energy of the presentation, you set the flow. So it's up to you. You've got to bring the energy. You've got to get the crowd going. You've got to set it up for the speaker that's coming. So it's so important that because it's your party, this is your party, which is why you're telling your story. So you don't want to tell a story like, oh, well, I want you to tell a story about you, let me tell you what happened to me one day, and such and such and such. Really entertain an entertaining story, but maybe a story with a point that says, hey, so this is different than a testimony. A testimony is when we call you in and you just say, hey, give a brief testimony. I went to Jamaica. Before I went to Jamaica, I was looking, I was sitting here. I wanted to go somewhere, and I was kind of bored, and it was time for me and my husband to take a trip somewhere. We went on our site. We found an affordable trip to Jamaica, $200 for the both of us for the weekend, and we went to Jamaica, had a fabulous time, and because of that, we figured that we can now do that more often. We got started because now we can do that more often, and we can actually help other people go to Jamaica too. So a testimony is like, okay, where you were, you got started, where you were, you found out about Surge 365, you started it, you got started, and now where you are. So those are the basic points of a testimony. Hey, I was in a position where I needed to get some tax write-offs. I came to a presentation and they said that I could get tax write-offs. I got started. took my paperwork to my tax advisor, and I've gotten the biggest refund that I've ever gotten. That's a testimony. It's short, sweet, and it has those 4 points. Where you were before, what happened, you got started with Surge 365, and now it's made a part of your life better. You know, my husband and I were having marital problems. We needed to get away. We got started with Surge 365, and now our marriage is much more, much better, because now we're actually enjoying the beaches of the world. You know, so it's where you were. A testimony is where you were. You got started with Surge, and what's the impact? Those are the 3 things of the testimony. And so when someone asks you for a testimony, they're not asking you for your story. A testimony should only be maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Where you were, how you got, what led you to get started with Surge 365, and now because you got started, here I'm living happily ever after. So those are the 3 points. When at your travel party or at your event, you want to tell your stories, because you want your team, you want your guests, you want everyone there to know your story. And that's different than your testimony. So your story might be, you know, like our story, you know, we were looking for a tax write-off. In fact, our tax advisor told us we needed to find a home-based business, or Uncle Sam was going to eat us up. Our 83-year-old aunt at the time invited us to come to a travel party. It was packed. We had such a great time. And we actually went to that travel party, and man, it was wall to wall. We had chicken wings, and there was music flowing. Oh my goodness, we was like, I'm Virginia, you're 80-some years old, and you got a packed out house? Oh my gosh. And so we actually went and got started. And let me tell you, we went on our first cruise. We went on our first cruise, had a great time. So we took some other people on the cruise. That time we made over $1,000. Then we started doing other trips, and we started telling people about it, and we started earning these $1,000 bonuses. And now, instead of owing Uncle Sam owes us. So we're so glad that we got started with Surge 365, and we look forward to a life of travel and money from here on out. So that's one of my stories that I tell. So it all depends. So I want you to tell your story. Your story might be, hey, when I was little, I always wanted to travel, and my parents couldn't afford it. The only places we could go is to grandma and granddad's house or something like that. Or maybe all the places we went were Myrtle Beach. And it wasn't even Myrtle, it was like North Myrtle Beach. And so it was, you might say, hey, it was where the Black people could go, the part of Myrtle Beach that the Black people could go. And I just said, looking at the beach one night, if I ever had an opportunity to travel, you know, as you're sitting there, you're looking at the beach, you're like, man, what's on the other side? Who's on the other shore? There's somebody somewhere looking at this same sun. I wonder what kind of life they have. I wonder what they're doing. And I just said that I was going to visit all the beaches of the world when I got the opportunity. Well, now, since I got started with Surge 365, I have an opportunity to visit the beaches of the world. I visit beaches in the Caribbean, St. Croix, St. Thomas, Jamaica, the Bahamas. I'm on my way to Hawaii, and now now because of that, I just feel like I have the world is my oyster. I can really fulfill my dream of seeing the world. Now that might be a story, or you could add humor to it. You know, one day my mom and my dad was taking me fishing, and he was drunk, and we was in a truck, and my dad decided he was going to take us by the water side, right by the riverside, and he drove that truck right into the river. And so we died. So, and that day in that truck, I said, if I can ever get my dad on a boat, on a cruise, so he didn't feel like he got to get right up and close and personal to the river with his truck, I'm going to make that happen. And so now I'm in the travel business, and unfortunately I wasn't able to take my dad on a cruise, but every time I go on a cruise, I take him with me. And so that's a true story. My dad was, whew. so you might want to put any story that relates. It doesn't have to be, don't make it a testimonial, make it a story. Put something in there where people are saying something of they're giving a part. You want to give people a part of you at your travel party, now see, at somebody else's travel party, you don't want to get up and tell your story because it's not your platform. That's disrespectful. Don't tell your story at somebody else's event. But at your event, tell your story. Now, if they ask you for a testimony, tell a testimony. Just a short, this is what I did. This is how I got started. Now I'm happy. But your story is is what's going to connect people to you. So for your presentations online, for your Zooms, you want to start out with your story because they're your guests. When you have your travel party on your Zoom, then these are your guests. And that when people get on early, they should be hearing your story. You should be getting on at least 5 minutes early, welcoming your guests and saying, oh my gosh, y'all, let me tell you, I had an awesome time today. You know, I went to this grocery store. Let me tell you what happened. I went to the grocery store and this guy tried to jump in front of me. And I was like, oh, you need to get to the back of the line. You know, now that's warming the crowd up. You're telling your story. They're getting to learn more about you. You might say, oh my goodness, this is a picture of me and my husband in Hawaii. And y'all, you know, this picture is all poised and it looks all good. We all polished and stuff. But let me tell you, just before that picture, I had fallen into the pool. You see that braid? I borrowed that ponytail from a lady in the line. She let me borrow it just to take this picture. I mean, so now that takes a whole nother, everybody is just laughing and looking at the picture differently, but that's your story. That's your story. And so now those people are going to say, oh man, I want to align with, they're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. And oh my goodness, look, they shared that story. They were authentic. They were honest. They shared a little bit about themselves. And so now I want to align with them. So your homework, and then it's 9:46, it's time for us to end. Your homework is to open up your travel party with your story, with your music, with your energy. Open it up and introduce. This is the first part when your guests are coming in, when they, you know, just before they start, just giving them a little piece of you, who you are, what you stand for, why you know, if you want to share why you get started, that's fine. But I would suggest at this point, I would suggest sharing why you get started as a part of your testimony. This is your story. This is the warm up. This is getting people ready. This is, hey, I'm glad that you're here. I invited you because of this. And I want to give you a little piece of me. I want you to get to know me a little better. This just puts you out there, being authentic, who you are, being and just being entertaining and telling one of your stories. So by now you should have about 25 stories written that you could tell, and now you've already started, you know how to use demonstrations, you know how to use props, you know how to do everything. So all of this has gotten you to this level. And so you've learned, you can practice on your pregnant pause. You can practice on your rhythm. What rhythm? And if you want to play music in the background, that's going to help you with your rhythm. If you're a rapper, a hidden rapper like Michelle Thomas, and you're going to get some different rhymes and all that stuff, you might rap to your audience. Hey, I'm Michelle. Hey, I got a shell. I don't rap very well, but whatever. Michelle, gel. I use some gel, and so I could tell.
MT rhymes. MT rhymes.
I'm telling you, but that might be your rhythm. So that's your homework for next week. And so we're all going to go into just welcome our And guess what? I want you to schedule a date as a part of your homework. We're going to practice it, but then I want you to have a date that you want to do your Zoom travel party. And so we're going to actually do that, and I'll do the presentation. That's fine. Or we can play a video. That's fine. It doesn't matter. But the whole point is, then we're going to invite, and we're going to actually, you get the opportunity to use your story and invite people to your travel party. And I guarantee you it will make such a dramatic difference than just inviting people and they're sitting around and it's just a typical presentation, because now you've injected a part of you in it, and they get to know and see you. And when you're authentic, and we learn this, when you're authentic and being yourself, it gives other people the opportunity to be themselves. So now they're free and say, oh, okay, well, I could do this, or I could do that, or that person wasn't perfect, or everything wasn't perfect, but they still did it. And so when you make mistakes and get through it, that gives other people they feel comfortable to make mistakes too. And so when you're authentic, it lets other people feel comfortable being authentic. And so so next week, we're going to go through, it might be a little longer, but no matter what, we're going to go through each one. We're going to go through who you are, telling one of your stories, and introducing the speaker, introducing who you are. This is your travel party. And then I also want you to have a date for your Zoom travel party, where we're going to, a date and a time for your Zoom travel party, where we actually going to invite guests. And you're going to invite guests, and I'll come and do the presentation, and we'll schedule your Zoom travel parties, and invite people. Just say, hey, I've been learning how to tell my story. I'd like you to come and hear it, and sit through the presentation. Just say no obligation, and then you can actually go to this is the third thing, homework. And some of you already have that. Go to SurveyMonkey, www.surveymonkey.com, and develop a survey. And everybody who comes to your travel party, you want to send them the link to your survey and get feedback in terms of how they thought you did. If they're interested in, how all the stuff you learned, you used. How was the story? Did they find it entertaining? How was the use of hands? How was the music? Whatever you use, whatever you want to ask them, get feedback. And after the presentation, send them the survey so that they can give you feedback on your online travel party. And I guarantee you the thing that they're going to like best, and you can ask the final thing, out of all the things we shared, what's the one thing that you remember? I guarantee you it's probably going to be your story. And what's my point? People align with you. You can say whatever in a presentation. People will align with you and your story. And when you're authentic and you give a powerful and authentic story, or fun, or you give people an opportunity to see who you are, it makes them more comfortable to align with you. Does that make sense? All right, so here we go. We're gonna work on our stories, and we're gonna go ahead and get things started. Any questions?
Yes, I have one question, Ann. This is awesome. This is awesome training, first of all, just wonderful. Definitely getting us out of the box and preparing us for what it is that we say we desire and our success. But with regard to the monkey, I mean, the survey, the focus should be on our part of it, because I mean, that's one way of inviting them, is to say, hey, I want you to come check out, what I'm working on in terms of doing a better presentation and setting things up, right? That's one way to invite them. Is that what you're saying?
However you invite them. I'm just saying,
so
perhaps I know some of my friends may not come, some of my family may not come to hear the presentation, but if I say, hey, look, I'm testing out my story, can you come and listen to that? They'll come and listen to that, and they'll sit through the presentation, and they might say, you know what? I didn't think I was interested in your business, but now that you've gone through the presentation, I think I I might be interested. Let's talk about this. You know, I
Okay.
came to hear your story, but as a result, I also listened to the presentation. Now, some people are just going to listen to the
Gotcha.
story and that's it. So it's a dual role.
Gotcha.
You might invite somebody that told you they weren't interested, and now you could say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to test out this new thing. Can you just come on and listen to that? You know,
Gotcha.
and maybe something that we said that might pique their interest or not. But no matter what, you want to get feedback. So with your survey, you want to have all kinds of questions, but you
Right.
also want to have one of the questions to say, hey, are you interested in learning how you can generate more income and travel?
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
mean, use that opportunity to at least ask the question. And if they say no, that's fine. You hadn't lost anything, but you're getting some feedback. And I
Gotcha.
think with the free survey, you only get 10 questions.
Really? Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. And of course, we can incorporate some of the questions that's already in like our travel survey as well.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And you can keep those. You can do those surveys every time you do a Zoom. You can now get feedback and kind of see who's interested, where people, what's your favorite destination, and just ask out of all the, you know, you might say out of everything that we talked about, what did you like? You know, what did you like best? And some people might say, well, I love the fact that, Ann, you went, you know, when you and Nick went to Mexico and you actually sat on the hammock, you fell out. And now, and now that's what you remember about, you know, now you always remember that about Mexico, because now your hip is hurting for,
Oh my God.
for 5 years. But,
Oh.
but
Good morning. I have a question. What is the deadline or time frame that you want us to schedule these Zoom presentations?
within the next week. So you got 2 weeks to schedule it.
Okay.
So you do your story, you do your intro next week. And so next week, you're going to bring me the date of your Zoom presentation the next week. And if all of us are here, if we have conflicts, we can work out the conflicts. So have 2 or 3 dates and times in case your date and time conflicts with somebody else's.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, question, would we be sending the survey out in advance when we invite the people and they respond?
At the end, only the people who show up get the survey.
Okay.
Okay, because they will not have heard. So your first thing your first question might be, what did you get from my story? If they didn't even come to the presentation, how they gonna know anything about your story?
No, that's what I'm saying. For those that confirm, are we sending that so they have it to do the survey while they're on the Zoom? Okay.
No, afterwards, you'll send them the link to do the survey, and just ask them to do it. I would ask them to do it if they're on Zoom. Then they've got the internet. I would ask them to do it online immediately. And if I have enough time, I think if you give me your link to your survey, if I'm not mistaken, I can, and I'll know this by next week, I can actually have, for those people who participate, I can have an email sent to them saying, hey, following, for everyone who participates, when they sign off, it sends them an email that says, thank you so much. Please fill out this survey.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure Zoom has that. I just need to find that page again. But if we have it scheduled and you send me your survey link, that's something else we could do as well. In addition to, I can always, as the last screen, I can always put it on there if you send me that survey link in advance. So if you do your homework and you give me the survey link, on your final screen of the presentation, I could pull it up and say, okay, everybody who participated, please go here and fill out a survey. So they would get it as the last screen, and they will get it in the email. The thank you for participating in Michelle's on travel extravaganza, or whatever you want to call it, Hawaiian experience, whatever you want to call it. See, and that's something else. See, if you've gone to Hawaii and you want to have an Hawaii experience, you can tell your story about going to Hawaii, show pictures about going to Hawaii, tell an entertaining story, so they come back with that and say, oh gosh, oh my God, I want to go to Hawaii. And then we lead into, and this is how we can get you there. And then we do the presentation and just say, thank y'all so much for coming. We'd love to have your honest opinion. Please go here to fill out a survey. And then they'll also get, and just know that you should get a thank you email to the email address you put in when you, because, well, see, that's the thing. Some people, depending on how you send out the invite, okay, some people, if they didn't have to register, if their email is not registered, then they will not get the email. Depending on how you send out the email invite, if they just touch and open up to the presentation, they may not have had to register. So that's why having it on the screen would be is a good thing too. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and then you know your people as well, and you'll know your surveys, and as you start getting them back, is your account. You can always follow up with them and say, hey, I didn't get your survey. I really need your feedback. And so, and just follow up with them and say, hey, let me send this to you so you can, because if you send them the link, they can do their survey via phone, they can do their survey, wherever they get the internet. So there's no excuse not to do it. Okay?
All right.
Okay.
All right, I am excited. This is going to be awesome. So definitely, out of your 25 stories, pull one out of the box and get ready. And that is what you're going to use to invite your guests and make your guests feel comfortable when they come to your online travel party. And so we're not going to do a presentation, but we are going to show me your energy, show use the everything that you've learned, pregnant pauses, hand gestures, if you want to stand up, whatever it is, to how you would invite your to your online travel party, and also in a live travel party. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, y'all. Well, here we go. So did any more issues, questions, comments, or concerns?
No, oh, and this coming Wednesday, I have to do a presentation at work. And I'm like, really? So I said, well, I'll prepare everything for you. And, they're like, no, you have to do it. I'm like, geez. So pray for me.
Oh, that'll be
But
good.
I've been trying to outline some of the steps, that I've learned thus far, and trying to, and that's my weekend, my homework for the weekend, and so I'll do it. It's something I'm not that familiar about, so, but I'm gonna be all right.
There you go. You're gonna be just fine. Just write it out. Write your key points and follow the key points, and put a little bit of yourself in there. I'm not sure what kind of presentation is it. Is it a teaching presentation? Is it a
trying to show the hospital how to do contracts, what the process is, and all about compliance and joint commission. And
is this a
they don't have,
training?
yes, and they don't have it together. Right, they don't have it together. I've asked for the documents, don't have them. So I'm just gonna get in there and do the best I can.
All right, all right. Well, that sounds like it could grow into a huge training session. That sounds like it could be really detailed.
Yeah, well, one good thing about it, and everyone is saying they're ready to go on vacation. So I'm going to open it up with that. Something nice and relaxing, and so I'm just going to listen to them, and then sort of approach them on the side afterwards.
Girl, I'd be careful with that. I'd be a little careful with that. At your job, if they've asked you to do a presentation, that's going to confuse. If you start out with travel, that's going to confuse, because you're there to do, you got to see their mindset is contracts. So they're there to hear about whatever contract process it is. And for you to now start on vacations, number one is counterproductive, because now you're getting them thinking about vacations. And so they're distracted from whatever you're going to talk about.
Okay.
Because now you got, I know if you start me thinking about vacations, I ain't paying attention to no contract training.
Okay.
After that. So because it's your job, I would just kind of leave it. Now, if you wanted to have maybe some Jamaican music playing, not calypso or reggae or whatever, playing, and as the intro. But do you have light skinned people at your job?
Of course, yeah. Oh, I know to steer clear of them. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying steer clear. I'm just saying that, if you're supposed to do a contract training, I don't know the culture, your corporate culture, but that might turn people off a bit.
Okay. Because I was thinking maybe something to at least just get their attention. But yeah, let me
Girl, I just think your job should be your job. You don't want to, you've got a great platform. Stay in one lane.
Okay.
Don't try to introduce your travel business at your job. Focus on that and get ahead with that, because if you do that, then the opportunities to build these relationships will come. But just do a quality presentation. You can, if you want to start out, maybe telling a story. Have you had an opportunity to travel with contracts? I know one for my contracts, for my statement of work training, with one of the companies I worked with in the past, they sent me to Las Vegas for a statement of work training. You talk about, we had a ball. It was great because we trained the hottest part of the day. We was in training, so we was in the air conditioner. So during the day, we were in training. So at night, we could enjoy Vegas. I tell you, that was the best statement of work training I think I could have ever done.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that you want to say that, but I'm just saying if you wanted to weave that in, maybe some training that you've done, or maybe a joke, if you wanted to find a joke, what's the preacher's name, Nick, that I like, that starts out with something funny every, Osteen. Osteen. He starts out with something funny every time he speaks. And so if you wanted to do that, then that kind of lightens, because contracts can be really heavy. And I understand what you're doing. You might want to try to lighten it a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, not to bring up surge, but just something to try to lighten up the atmosphere a little bit.
Well, maybe at the break, instead of in the middle, maybe you would just say, okay, we're going to pause for a mental break. And maybe you might have a picture of a beach. And just to pause, okay, everybody, I know this is a lot of information, so let's just pause for a mental break. And, and then people can get up and go to the restroom. You've got the picture of the beach and stuff. If you can get a video and the sound and get them so they can see the beach, imagine themselves there, I think that would work a little better than starting it off that way.
Okay.
And this is just my opinion. You do it whatever you want to do,
Well, no, this is why I'm here. I need feedback. So I appreciate the feedback.
At a corporate presentation, I just don't. I don't think it's a good idea. You want to have a PowerPoint up there of what they're going to be discussing, you know, and if you want to put a picture of yourself up there, then that's fine, and maybe your bio and that type of things. You're setting this the whole stage in terms of why they should be listening to you, why you're the expert, while you know these are the key points that we're going to be talking about.
Okay.
And you know you want it just like in our business. You want that first couple of slides to edify you in the presentation, the information that you're presenting.
Okay.
And then, you know, you want to be seen as the professional, as the expert. This is why I'm in the front of the room. And then begin talking to your key points. And maybe at your break or lunch or whatnot, just say, okay, you know, now everybody, I know contracts is a heavy subject. And it can be kind of, so let's lighten the load just a little bit mentally. And so I just want to take you guys away. And then the next screen is the beach. And if you got the sounds, you can put the sounds in the background and just say, everybody, you know, I don't know if you want everybody to get up and stretch or, hey, go to the restroom or whatever it is, but it's a break, but it plants the seed about vacations, especially right now where we can't really, you know, we're still doing, wait a minute, you doing this, you going to work?
Yes, ma'am. We've had people taken out of there this week. So yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, are you going to be doing this online or like in
the boardroom?
Oh.
And I'm hoping and praying that it's going to be enough space. So now they're saying they may have to go into another hall or whatever and see if they can do it there in the auditorium.
You got your mask and your gloves?
Oh yes. We have to be suited up at all times.
Oh, okay.
Whenever we step out of our office, and we can't even go to the cafeteria now. So.
Oh, good. Social distancing, girl.
Yes,
especially in a hospital environment. You don't want to be.
And this we were supposed to be in at the Harvard this weekend. Well, all for the whole week, but now they decided to bring it back on campus, and I'm like, okay. So by them bringing it in house, yeah, I'm going to be the speaker. So, but I'm going to be okay.
You are, because you know the material and you got it down pat, but I would not mix the two.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't even distribute any of my business. Any of the cards that I give, because just think about this. It's respect. They've paid for their facility, that you're using their equipment, you're using their electricity and everything. And I know if I invited somebody to my house to a party, and I done paid for all my guests to be there, the food, this is my party and everything, and they come and they do one of a presentation about, I don't know, pocketbooks, I'd be like, no. If you want to do a presentation about pocketbooks, then you need to do that. You need to get your crowd. You need to pay for your food. You need to get your equipment and everything. But don't disrespect my house. Don't come and push your agenda at my house, the stuff I paid for. I have this is my zone, and I can control. So that's how I look at it with your job. That's their zone. They can control. They hired you to do this contracts presentation, and obviously you're good because they're putting you in front of all of these people to do it. And so I just think it's disrespectful for you to now use their platform to try to push your agenda, and that's not right. That's not right. And believe me, what goes around comes around, and you just don't want that karma. You don't want that. And so I would just be respectful. If someone comes up to you, if you develop a relationship and decide to keep in touch, You might say, hey, I'd love to speak with you, offline about something if you're open. If they are, that's fine. But you got to be careful with that too, because a lot of people at your job, there's somebody there that wants that job and mess around and get your card and go by and tell, say, oh yeah, she's soliciting. She called me, she told me about a business and she's soliciting. So I would be very, very, very careful about that. I would. Because somebody in that audience wants to be doing that presentation, wants your job, wants to be doing what you're doing. And so you don't want to give them ammunition to shoot at you.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, I think I understand what you're doing, but I don't know if this is the platform for that.
Okay.
Now, somebody else may have a different opinion. That's just my opinion, Barbara. You, at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want to do, but that's just my.
No, I appreciate your feedback. That's why I brought it up. So, yeah, and I respect your opinion.
Well, I'm glad, because it's difficult navigating the corporate with our business, but and I'll tell you what, and the more respect you have, the more you respect that business, people will see that and they will say, well, you know what, I heard that you were a travel agent, or you have a travel business, or you market a travel membership. And I'm kind of interested in that. And I'll just say, well, maybe we can go out for coffee, or maybe we could, and make it known. Wait a minute, because no matter what you say, let me just tell you, no matter what you say, it's going to get back to your manager. So always use the platform to plant whatever you want to get back to leadership. So you always say, in the break room or in that private conversation, I really appreciate my job and I respect this job. So I would never talk about anything else on the job. But if you want to, when I get off, if you want to talk about it, that's fine. Or if you want to, you want to have coffee, that's fine. But I just want to be respectful of my job and my employers. And just in terms of business, that's what that seed you plant is what you're going to get. And so, and that's what I try to tell people too. The people don't realize what comes around goes around. They might say, well, this is a huge business and I'm just a small business. It doesn't matter. Because when someone goes to try to recruit somebody on your team, or when somebody goes to talk to someone, then you want them to say, you know what, this is my travel. This is her event. Let's talk about that at another time offline. I'm not going to disrespect her and do this at her event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's what I tell them, while I'm here, I'm about work. If you have a question regarding my business, you call me after hours, not during company time.
Who you tell that to?
I had one person sign up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so that's why when she comes to me, she'll ask me a question, ask me after we leave here.
Exactly. And that's what you want her to repeat. Exactly. Exactly. Definitely. You do not want to try to mix the two, especially not right now. Not right now. Yeah. Because right now people, they say people are looking for jobs, but now based on the news, people are getting comfortable with this unemployment. They're like, why are we gonna go back to work?
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, that's my advice. I think you'll do well, and if you could keep it, I wouldn't blend the travel business with your contracts presentation, and unless you just wanted to do a timeout or something like that.
Yeah. So I can do a timeout on something else. So
yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. I know you're going to do a great job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else got any questions, comments, issues, concerns? All right, y'all. Well, hey, we're going to end this. It is 10:19. We've gone over again. But hopefully you got value in what we were talking about, and I'm looking forward to seeing your intros and learning everything, you know, just putting everything together, how it's all going to come together. And you know, you know what to do now. You can be more demonstrative. You know that even though it may feel like you out of the box, it's not. It's bringing people in, and it adds to, it really makes the difference in your presentation. And I hope to see you all do more Zooms and use what you've learned to actually now build your tribe, because ultimately people are going to be attracted to you.
I think that's one of the thing that I'm sitting here really just kind of like thinking about it is to me getting the Zoom to work. Now we did get one started. Now I just got to figure out how to, get it to work so I can do. I was looking at how Michelle had put hers on Zoom, and I was like, oh, what did I do to do that? How to, So that's where I am as I sit here and listen to everything that's being said.
Well, Miss Ayantha, I encourage you to pull up Zoom,
right,
and play with it. And I think we all have learned that way. Pull up Zoom. I would encourage you that when you pull up Zoom and you play with it, have some clothes on.
Yeah, I do know
Because
that.
if you hit the wrong button,
Right.
folks go see whatever it is, have your background straight. You don't want, all kinds of stuff in your background, because folks gonna be looking at your house or wherever you are, be like, what is that? So, but I would, just pull up your account. Nobody should be on there unless you invited them,
No,
and play around with them.
Okay.
If you have a free account, you can play around. And I think each session is how long, y'all? 30 minutes? I think you have 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think we picked up the one that we could go a little longer. Yeah.
Oh, you pay for, okay, well, shoot, then if you pay for that thing, that the first level, even that, I think it's like $14, $15 a month, something like that, then you can just keep going and you can play around with it. And they also, Miss Anthony, they have a tutorial. It's a video. When you log in, they'll ask you, do you want to click on the button for the tutorial? There's so much information in that tutorial.
Right. Yeah, we just did a little bit of that yesterday. It took us a while to be able to get through for some reason. They kept saying they having a lot of problem with it, but we finally got it set up. So we gotta really figure out how to do it. And I guess when I come on and I look at different ones, I'm like, oh, how do I get there? How do I get there? Yeah.
Well, as you can see, Michelle, she's got the screen in the back. No. When I try to put the screen in the back, it looks fuzzy and stuff. So I haven't done it because it just seems like it doesn't come out clear. So I haven't done it, but I think I need to update my it's my laptop. I think I need to, if I use it on my other laptop, I think it should work.
Right.
So I just think my laptop needs to be updated.
Okay.
But
tax write-off.
Huh?
I said tax write-off.
That's true.
Business expense. That's what business expense.
That's true. That's very, very true. Okay, y'all, it's 10:23. We got to go. Y'all have a good night. A good day. I'm looking forward to your homework, and let's make it happen.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye, y'all.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you.